Okay, it is now 4:01 p.m. on Thursday, June 27th. At this time, I'd like to welcome everybody who's here this afternoon, those here in the audience as well as those watching on television. This time, for those that are with us, those up here in the front, I ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time, I'd like to introduce everybody up here for the sake of the camera and those in the audience that may not know. And I will address everything from the far left. Our Secretary, Amy Muccio. I'm Commissioner Steve Wood.
Commissioner Bob O'Brien.
We have Chief Rondo and Captain Livy with us as well. Commissioner Balboni, our hearts are and thoughts are with him and his wife. They've had a death in the family, so they're out of state presently, so he's been excused from this meeting for obvious reasons. And with that said, Commissioner, I would entertain a motion on the minutes for May 16th, regular meeting.
These they accepted.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Yes.
Or as printed, rather, reviewed. And I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this time, Chief, if you'd like to proceed with the monthly reports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would indeed. Getting to the first slide in your slide deck, you're going to see the incident cases year-to-date 2019, and this is for the reporting month of May. You'll see where we've had a 6.45% decrease in criminal incidents from April at 62 to May at 58. And then with the accompanying background information, you'll see that there were 107 offenses within that time period. So that is the number of offenses that were committed within those 58 incidents, criminal incidents. So what does that mean? That means that there were multiple offenses committed during each. So for arrests, moving to the next slide in your slide deck, for arrests in May of 2019, you'll see we were down 16.21% from 37 to 31, and the accompanying background data is there with those arrested and all the details associated, and with the backup data if you wanted to see or were tracking on any issues. Collisions for the month of May, we had a huge decrease. We're really good, from 16 to 7. So 16 in the month of April, 7 in the month of May. That's a 56.25% decrease. And I attribute, and crashes and collisions have been on the decrease for years. This is a great trend. I attribute this to increased enforcement. And a lot of what's helping us here are the highway safety grants. So the speed enforcement grants, the pedestrian crosswalk safety grants, the click it or ticket grants, and the other speed enforcement grants and other highway safety grants that we perform. It's getting us out there. It's certainly increased awareness. The officers are literally flooding the streets throughout the summer months. So this is really good. These are really good return on our investment here. So just keeping the town safer, and that's what I like to see. So moving on, you'll see the accidents by street name and where they were. Again, there's no mystery there. It's all the usual suspects. Nothing changes. Just the way the town was laid out. Traffic stops for May of 2019. We're down slightly, 1.91%, so from 157 to 154, so not a big deal there. 18 tickets were given out of those 154 traffic stops, and that's essentially an 11.68% chance of getting a ticket, so not bad, basically 1 in 10. If you are interested in the background data, and the backup data is there, shows you where all the stops were made and what offenses were written in terms of summonses. The next slide in your slide deck is going to be your personnel analysis report by officer, by month. Just keep in mind when you do look at this report that we do rotate shifts, so some officers find themselves on shifts that aren't as active as other shifts. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But you'll see, I think, some pretty impressive numbers when you look at those, when you look at that chart. Moving on to the detectives report, there were 15 cases carried over from April 2019 for the month of May. He investigated a total of 2 new cases. The cases represent all the incident reports and arrest reports for the month of May. 2 cases were investigated as misdemeanors. There were no new felony level cases this month, which is a good thing. At the end of May, he closed 1 case and was able to close out 4 other cases from April. This leaves him 11 ongoing investigations, including some from the previous month. New cases assigned include 1 theft and 1 disorderly conduct. Percentage of cases closed this month is 50%. Percentage of cases closed by arrest during the month is 25%. And percent of arrests in criminal cases closed this month is 62%. Those are really good percentages. So he's, as you can see, he's busy. Basically, right now he's carrying about 11 open cases per month. Sometimes it goes up to as high as 17. His backup data is there if you want to track it year to date. And Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll get right into the...
I'd like to just go over the school resource officer's last report.
Yes.
It's just, I know it's in a separate
Yes.
entrance.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, that was sent out late. As a school resource officer, as you can see by his report, is exceedingly busy. Just to highlight some of those cases there, he's had a number of possession of tobacco and drug cases, and he had 1 disorderly conduct case where arrests were made. Investigations include, 1 assault, 2 burglaries. He's investigating some obscene matter cases, criminal threatening, 3 disorderly conducts, 1 failure to appear, 2 fraud cases, 6 motor vehicle and/or accident incidents, 1 suspicious person, 3 tobacco drug violations, and 2 theft violations. So he's very busy. And then you see the rest of his data there. I'll brief that by exception if you gentlemen have any questions. Moving on, Mr. Chairman, to the chief's items.
Melissa, do you have any questions to this point about any of the... Okay.
Oh, by the way, I did send you the my chief's notes, so you do have those in your email.
Chief, we do have a question from the audience. Mr. Goodgame?
It's been a couple of meetings since I was on the police commission, and I've been thinking for the last week or so, what is the importance of the data that you present to the commission? Number of accidents, location of the accidents, and it might be helpful to the television audience and the people who listen to this if we could draw some connection to operations of the department. For example, I know that one thing that you have always been interested in is having extra officers, especially during the summer. And if one could draw comparisons between 2018 and 2017 and 2016 in terms of whether or not there are more vehicle accidents or less vehicle accidents, more crimes, more incidents, because I think that the commissioners that are currently here and myself, there's no question but that your department could use some extra police. And I think if you could draw a connection between the data that you present and the chief's report and points that could be made about the need for additional patrol police if for just the summertime, part-time, and so forth. I think you know what I mean. Hey?
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your input.
Just an observation.
Do you want me to just
You're
comment
you're
on that?
welcome to speak to,
Sure, just briefly. So I think that's Commissioner Emeritus. I think that is that's an excellent point. And just let me address that in the audience. And a lot of people are probably out there saying, gosh, these commission meetings are really boring. There's a lot of data. What does it really mean? Right? And I get it. So just let me, by way of explanation, I think that's an excellent question. Thank you for asking it. So the folks at home probably can't see any of this stuff, and I don't know if you can zero in on this, Peter, but there's a lot of charts and graphs. If you're sitting on the commission, you're going to get a packet, or if you're one of our selectmen representatives or budget committee representatives to the commission, you're going to get a packet, and it's going to have all these graphs and charts associated with it. And we track this stuff from basically month to month and quarter to quarter and year to year. And to the average person looking in or tuning in, it probably means absolutely nothing, right? And it would be the same thing if you were sitting at an IBM board meeting and the chief financial officer is passing around the financial spreadsheet and he's talking about the monthly earnings and credits and debits for the company, for the corporation. And it probably doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. So let me tell you why it's important. So if you go to any city or town in this country, they probably do something very similar to what we're doing right now. It's called a ComStat meeting, right? And the ComStat meeting, commissioner statistics or the commander statistics, they go over exactly what we're doing right now. And the value in it is exactly, Commissioner, what you just described. For our folks tuning in and listening, the value in it is being able to look once a quarter, look once a year, look over a course of 5 years and do an analysis and say just what Commissioner Goodgame has brought up, that, hey, we're seeing an increase in traffic crashes. We're seeing an increase in drug possession. We're seeing an increase in disorderly conduct or burglaries or thefts. And there's been a steady increase. And it's something that you may not necessarily see if you're only paying attention to things from year to year or even from month to month. But once you put it on a chart and you start tracking it, okay, and if you can drill down onto, this is incidents for 2019, you can start to see we got a steady increase, right? You see those little bars are tracking incidents and arrests and offenses, and you can start to see these steady increases and rises. And there may be a couple of dips in here every now and then it'll shoot back up again. And that's all really important stuff. And what it does is the strategic, right, the 30,000-foot view gives us a picture of kind of where we're at, and then the background data, they're drilling down into the offenses, for example, allows us to draw conclusions on a monthly basis saying, hey, we're seeing, we're seeing an awful lot of DWIs, we're seeing an awful lot of drug, narcotic violation offenses, we're seeing an awful lot of criminal trespass, for example, right, just using these as examples. And that allows us to do this thing called trend analysis, which then allows us to take very scarce police resources and target them to specific areas, whether it's Clark Street or whether it's Laner Street or whether it's Route 28. And we do the same thing with each one of these general four categories, right? We got incidents, we have arrests, we have collisions, and we have motor vehicle stops. And we get to see where the real problem areas are. The radar trailers and the radar warning signs that you see out there do a number of things for us. And this is again why I love technology, right? Because it allows us to be able to do some data collection over the course of months and ultimately will be years. And we can take that data, once we've collected enough of that empirical data, we can take that data and then do analysis on it and say, hey, between the hours of, say, 8 and 10 on Center Street or on South Main Street, we see a real spike in speeding offenses, right? Our radar warning signs and our radar trailers have these very sophisticated data collection packages which do an awful lot for us, right? They do vehicle counts, they do traffic flow analysis, they do speed flow analysis, they do all of these things that are really important. If you're in law enforcement administration, it says, okay, we know we have a problem on South Main Street between 8 and 10 or between 7 and 10. And now we can direct very scarce police resources to deal with a specific problem. If we're seeing speeding, for example, in that area, we can deal with it. The other thing that it does, conversely, is if somebody says, hey, I'm calling from 109 East, and I got a real problem with speeders out here. My God, they're going crazy. They're in 90s, right? Which is not uncommon. We get those calls. No offense to anybody on 109 East. We can then deploy the radar trailer, radar warning sign, and we can say, okay, let's see what we got. And now the radar warning sign is great because aside from data collection, right, it flashes your speed, lets you know you're going too fast, and we're all guilty of this, right? We all do this, all right? And what do you do when you're reminded, right? You flash, the sign's flashing at you, hey, slow down, slow down. We slow down, right? So it slows the traffic down, and it's beautiful because it's a mechanical device. It's out there in the rain, the snow, the wind, the sun, right? Doesn't get tired. I bought the solar panels to go with it, right? So it's free electricity, right? Can't fault me there. But it's almost like having another police officer out there. So it's collecting this data, and it's telling us to slow down. And generally speaking, the citizens are really good. We know this, and they do. And here's a little something for everybody to know. When we deploy these signs in the trailer, they're typically under video surveillance, right? So don't get any funny ideas, okay? So in any event, we take this data and we analyze it, and it allows us to be able to draw some valid conclusions about where we want to deploy scarce police resources. It also allows us to make some determinations on manpower and where we need to go and what does our 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40-year plan, you get the picture. What do we need to do? What are the trends? And that's a good thing, okay? And lastly, in 2003, we invested, and rightfully, at the Commission's direction, we invested in the purchase of the IMC police data software, which is a very powerful database tool that all of our reports, everything gets entered into that. It literally is the brain behind running, the software brain behind running the Wolfeboro Police Department. It's tied into Wolfeboro Central Dispatch. And it's this very, very powerful tool. And it, too, allows us to do a lot of deep diving into the available data to help us draw conclusions and where are the trends going. And it helps us make those decisions. So all these reports essentially are generated out of the IMC database software. Okay, we go in and we check certain fields and what we're interested in looking at and so forth and so on. Like everything today, the system is always evolving, and we're only getting better. There are some things right now we simply can't do because of system limitations. Those are being solved, and we're moving forward. So the purpose of the CompStat briefings and why it's probably boring to the average citizen, but very important for these gentlemen, is because they take a look, it's another set of eyes, taking a look at the data and saying, gosh, I think we need more guys, or gosh, I think we need more help out here doing traffic enforcement, or something, oh gosh, we're having a lot of traffic crashes. What are you guys doing to prevent that, to be proactive? So it allows them to do their job as commissioners, and it allows the captain and I and the sergeants to take a look at each individual officer, because it drills down that deep, and to make sure that all of our officers are doing what they should be doing. It allows us to make sure that they're doing their job, but it also allows us to make some very important administrative decisions in terms of where we're going with the police department, where we're going with police operations, either on a day-to-day basis or a year-to-year basis, or in the terms of a 5-year plan. So individually, you know, what is the difference in incidents, for example, between 62 and 58? Really not a whole lot, but over the course of time, it's really very important.
If I could interject, I'm a new member, and I have not witnessed everything through the course of the year as a commissioner, and having succeeded Mr. Goodgame in his position, I would like to make 2 observations. First observation is that when we get these graphs and so forth, it's a snapshot. It's a snapshot of a moment in time, but it doesn't compare to last year. I think that's what you're talking about. And it's not that exceedingly difficult to create a graph for a period of years so you could see what they would be over a period of time. And that's not something that would have to be done every month. It might be something that you would do quarterly or biannually. And it supports, I believe, the goals that are set for the police department and the attainment of those goals. So it's our purpose to decrease accidents, motor vehicle accidents, in a given area or in town. We will be able to look at it and say, yes, we are achieving it, or we're not, but we need to do something more. So again, that comparative piece, and I think that's what you were alluding to. The other thing is that, having come from the Budget Committee, we had a couple of members who were very, very good at bringing up statistics from previous years and using those analytically to justify what the observations were. So you wanted to... That's my 2 pieces.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for that. And one thing I want to piggyback, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Captain or Chief, but I do know currently in the state of New Hampshire, you can't issue a motor vehicle summons, a ticket, based on information from a radar trailer, correct? I know other states have enacted that law where that can happen, and you can be driving in a state, speeding, and then you just get a ticket in the mail, and you have to remember back where you were at the time. And that's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind, too. Currently, the state doesn't have that law. It could be coming at some point. But the radar trailer is a very useful tool to remind us, and we're all guilty of it, as the chief alluded to. I'm no different than anybody else. It's a reminder. And I encounter those a lot in my travels to and from work, and other towns, too. They're used quite frequently, especially now with a larger volume of traffic on the road.
And just to emphasize, those pieces of equipment, I get a very complex report once a month. The device actually emails me. It knows where it is. It knows what day of the month it is. Everything is connected via Wi-Fi. It emails me, when it gets to the 30th, the 31st of the month. It says, oh yeah, I got to email Chief Rondo the data collection package, and it shoots it out. I come into work, and right there I have the email from the radar trailer, and it says, hey, I was at here, I was at this location, I was at this location, and it gives me the analysis. It's actually pretty, it's pretty slick, and it's completely automated. It's like having another officer out there, and it's good. It's a good device. So.
You would like to proceed with the chief's items, Chief?
Sure.
Oh, I'm asking if you proceed with the chief's items, please.
I will indeed. So moving on, I do have one item for non-public under personnel.
Okay.
So under budget, the command and staff conducted 2 internal FY19 budget reviews this past month for May 2019. So far, we are coming in at just under 1% underspent for the end of the second quarter. There will be an FY19 budget review for the month ending June 2019 during the 25 July Police Commission meeting. So I did have a chance, Mr. Chairman, to talk to Tom Bell. I do know Tom Bell from the Budget Committee. Matthew Plinch from the Budget Committee want to attend that meeting for obvious reasons, and so I told them that I would be emailing them with all the applicable information, and they will be in attendance for that, that end of quarter budget review. Under Personnel, Officer Chris Dustin continues to make progress as he prepares for the New Hampshire Police Academy. And he is doing PT on a regular basis to prepare himself for that. And just, in fact, had a PT test yesterday, and Sergeant Maloney and Sergeant Archambault were out there with him, and he did well. So he continues to make progress, and I'm happy for that. He and Officer Benjamin Church, our newest officer, our newest hire, will be attending the 180th Academy together. The start date is to be determined, but which he should be sometime around 2 or 3 September or so. It could be at the end of August, but I think it'll be probably closer to 2 or 3 September. In the meantime, both men continue to work, and Staff Sergeant Maloney and myself are very focused on their fitness regimes and their basic training tasks and skills, and we continue to work with those officers to get them ready for the rigors of the full-time academy, and the full-time academy is very tough and demanding, physically and academically challenging. Officer Claire Briggs, our newest part-time hire, is a full-time certified officer, and she has successfully completed our FTO program last week, and she is out on the road on her own just in time for the summer season and our very busy 4th of July. So I'm happy to report that she's doing a fantastic job. I, along with several of the staff members, completed our radio frequency and cell coverage map of the geographic area and layout of the town of Wolfeboro. The purpose of this study is to locate and map out our dead spots and coverage gaps and seams in order to properly provide emergency communications when needed. Our study was completed ahead of schedule and was submitted for peer review, all of which came back very positive. We will look to update this in July after the use of the AT&T Colt van with its cow companion, and the use of the 5G technology and accompanying 5G FirstNet smartphones. There will be more to follow on this, so stay tuned. Just so you know, Keith Simpson, our IT guru here at Town Hall, is going to be working with us very closely on this 5G study. Academically, I think it's important to understand right now, at least with the Colt van and the cow, right, the two devices from AT&T, that will be here for the 4th of July, for our 4th of July operations. We want to really see in an emergency how far those can punch out. We want to see what that coverage is. We have made some assumptions that based off just the physical layout of the town of Wolfeboro, where we think the communication is going to be able to begin and end, but we won't know until we get out there and actually test it with the devices in hand. So that's the purpose of that, for no other reason other than to see in an emergency where, what are the outer fringes of our emergency communication should there be a complete and utter failure of dispatch, okay, which obviously we want to try to avoid. So that being said, more to follow. Once we get that data collected, we have to analyze it and then map it, so that'll take a little bit of time, but I'll keep the commission informed. Operations in terms of police investigations and prosecution, May was a very busy month for us, and in fact, June is proving to be a very busy month as well. And all of our officers are working what I consider major investigations at this point. I will brief the Commission on a case-by-case basis as these matters are completed and forwarded for prosecution. In terms of police prosecution, this past month we saw 20 defendants who responded to 24 charges. Of those 24 charges, 16 were found guilty at trial and 1 was found not guilty. 7 defendants agreed to have their cases placed on file pending good behavior for 6 months or more with diversion, education, and restitution components added to their sentences. The conviction rate this past month is 95%, with approximately $6,400 in fines, penalties, and restitution meted out. So folks, as Chief Chase would often say, crime doesn't pay. Speaking of this last point, I want to talk a little bit about crime. the United States is a nation of laws, and we are indeed governed by the rule of law. This last comment should invoke some memories of your 6th grade civics class. If not, please bear with me. As such, the state of New Hampshire, a political subdivision of the United States, which too has its own constitution, is also governed by rule of law. The police are the executors of the law. When laws are violated, penalties ensue. When laws are broken, they carry stiff consequences, and certain laws carry stiffer consequences than others. When individuals in society transgress against the common good, the law, and are caught, they are prosecuted. Certain crimes like drug distribution garner more exacting penalties than others. More minor crimes like disorderly conduct, for example, which is a violation level offense and a fairly minor transgression, are dealt with less severely. If the Wolfeboro Police Department investigates and prosecutes individuals for drug possession and distribution, especially when there has been a history of recidivist behavior, don't expect us to be very compassionate. We will argue for the toughest of consequences. I have said this before, and I am not lying. Drug dealing, for example, is a very serious crime and requires very serious penalties be meted out because we are trying to prevent recidivist behavior. The time for friends and family to get involved in these matters is before the individual goes down a bad road and embarks on a career path of selling dangerous drugs of abuse, not at the 12th hour when the subject is facing a potentially long jail or prison sentence. The police have a job to do, which is to execute the laws of the nation and the state which we have taken an oath to uphold. The illicit desires of an individual and the turning of a blind eye by a family to bad acts does not trump society's need for public safety. New Hampshire is in the throes of a drug abuse epidemic, the likes of which have never been seen in the state's history. I promise everyone that drug dealing and distribution will be met with the swiftest of action and the most punitive of penalties. So as a word of advice, just don't do it. And if you do, be prepared to suffer the consequences. Thank you. Speed issues continue to be a problem in our community. Please pay attention to the posted speed limits on our town roads. Speed complaints represent some of the most common quality of life issues we receive at the PD. Please be courteous of your friends and your neighbors and don't speed. We will be monitoring our roads. Be very careful if you are speeding. Please slow down. The life you save may be your own. That being said, the department is continuing its enhanced speed enforcement operations in the following areas: Forest Road, Cotton Valley Road, College Road areas, Beach Pond Road, with a focus on the area between Pine Hill Road, North Line Road, Center Street, North Main Street, 109 East, Sewell Road, and now Bay Street. The reason for these speed enforcement operations is due to citizen complaints and data collected and analyzed by our radar trailers and radar warning signs. We will continue our efforts in these areas until we are sure that the speeds have come down. If you travel these roads, please be mindful of the speed limits. Training this past month, myself, I attended, Mr. Chairman, the Highway Safety Training and Strategy Conference. Also, Tim Morgan went with me. That's an excellent conference every year. Sets the priorities and the enforcement strategies for highway safety. And this year was no different. It was a very good conference. The captain attended the FBI Leads Series training, which is their executive development series, which is a very good program. Sergeant Strzok was at K-9 training. In fact, today he was also at his annual certification for the K-9, so that's been completed. So we're happy for that. And Officer Llewellyn attended emergency preparedness course of instruction. Dispatch, there is nothing significant to report relative to training. Under Outreach and Matters of Interest, I spoke on Wolfeboro Community TV regarding their Veterans on the Front Porch series. It was very enjoyable. I spoke at the Crescent Lake School during their Memorial Day celebration. It too was enjoyable but somber. I spoke with the director of the Wolfeboro Camp School regarding the 2019 season, and right now, presently, we are assisting him with some security issues he has at his facility. I was asked to speak at the Kingswood Regional Youth Center regarding staying drug-free. Always enjoy speaking at the youth center. I attended 2 meetings at Brewster Academy dealing with security matters, actually, and then we just had an additional security meeting this week. I met with the Attorney General's office and our DTF commander regarding counter-drug strategies for fiscal year 2020 and beyond, and that was, as usual, that was a very, very productive meeting. And it's always good to see and speak with the Attorney General and let them know what our concerns are here in Wolfeboro. Both the captain and I conducted a department staff meeting to put out new guidance, and in fact, we had a staff meeting just before coming here, and a lot of good information got put out. Both the captain and I met with concerned citizens regarding a wide range of issues and community topics. The captain and I spoke on Wolfeboro Community TV this past month, and the captain and I continue to be regulars at the men's breakfast meetings each month. And I continue to serve on both the Governor's Committee for the Humane and Ethical Treatment of Animals and serve on Senator Bradley's legislative committee seeking to strengthen the state's animal cruelty laws. The captain and I continue to attend all the boss meetings. The captain and I continue to be, the captain continues to be part of the master planning process, the technical review, and joint loss committees. And I know he enjoys those tremendously. Okay, I was just kidding, but he is in attendance. Lastly, please, no offense, man. Lastly, please be our guest on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. As always, coffee's on me, and we can talk about anything you want. If you want to talk about the Patriots or the Boston Bruins, or you want to talk about Fourth Amendment issues or the political philosophies of Hobbes and Rousseau, please come on down, be my guest on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And at this moment, I'm going to turn it over to the captain for any items that he wishes to brief the commission. Captain?
Yeah, just a few things. As you all know, Benjamin Church was sworn in on Tuesday of this week. He's our 14th officer, so he'll be starting the academy with Officer Dustin September 3rd. I wanted to talk about a little bit of the e-crash that's came out with our mobile data terminals. This is one reason why we got them. It basically improves workflow and efficiency out in the field. It allows the officers to get their crash reports done at the actual scene. It's very efficient. Once you get used to it, and everything's different, it takes a little while, but once you get used to it, everything will flow real nice. So e-crash is out there right now. E-ticket and e-paper is coming out, which should be out hopefully by next week or the week after to us, which is, that's for citations and everything. So these are the reasons why we got these things. The mobile data terminals, efficiencies, improved workflow, makes everything easier, and everything gets sent through the, basically through the internet out to the state. So there's no paper, there's no mailing, it saves time and saves money. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys, okay?
Mr. Chairman, I do have two, if I may, I do have 2 alibis. First is I want to remind all of our folks out there, all of our citizens, visitors, and guests that we do have the Public Safety Open House on 29 June. That's this coming Saturday from noon until 2. There's going to be plenty of free food out there. There's going to be displays, static displays. There's going to be K-9 demonstrations. Come and meet our officers and our firefighters and some of our elected officials in a very non-threatening environment. Please be our guests. Have a cup of coffee if you so desire. If there is rain, or if we are threatened by a passing thunderstorm, we'll simply just move into the bays. There's plenty of room, and it really is going to be a good time. We typically on a sunny day we'll get about 800 or so visitors and guests. So on a rainy day we'll still get about 300. New this year, and I'm excited about this. This is an awesome capability that we're adding to Wolfeboro Central Dispatch. Is the Code Red function under emergency 911, and the E911 van, emergency communication van, will be set up on a static display, and we'll be doing signups for Code Red. So just let me explain a little bit of what this is. So this is a free system that allows what I call near real-time emergency communication via text messaging, through cell phone communication, email, and text messaging in the event of emergencies. But more importantly, it's very tailorable. And it can also do non-emergency notification. So let me give you a good example. So if we know we have an event coming up like a 5K run, and it's going to be happening in Wolfeboro, and the folks that are doing the run or the folks participating in the run are signed up as part of that user group, which is created ahead of time, and then something happens where the event is called off, or there's a weather event about to occur, or there's a postponement, they can be alerted near simultaneously. The entire group, whether it's hundreds or thousands, can be alerted near simultaneously that the function has been called off. And it can only go out, that message would theoretically only go out to that group. On a broader scale, for example, if we had, according to the U.S. Census, right, we have 6,200 folks living in Wolfeboro, right? I think it's more, but
I do too.
yeah, I think we all do. But so if all 6,200 folks were signed up on Code Red and there was a weather event that was going to affect the entire town of such a magnitude that we wanted to get a weather alert out to all 6,200 folks, we could do that near simultaneously with literally the push of a button. So this has tremendous possibility and uses for public safety communication and emergency management and emergency notification. I'm very excited. And it's a system which is run and sponsored by the state of New Hampshire Emergency Communications. It's free. It's free to the town of Wolfeboro. We're a signatory to this program. And the folks at E911 will be here to answer any specific questions at the Police Public Safety Open House on the 29th, and they'll be able to sign folks up for Code Red and explain it in more detail than I can do right now because of our limited time and so forth. But it's a very powerful system, and it's long overdue, and I'm very, very excited about that. So again, I just want to emphasize Public Safety Open House, noon until 2 on the 29th of June. That's this Saturday. Come on down, and there's going to be plenty of free food: hamburgers, hot dogs, Mill Street chicken wings. There'll be ice cream, so come on down, plenty to do. And if you're looking for an activity, and it's our way of saying thank you very much to the citizens who support us so well throughout the course of the year. I do want to mention that there is a 4th of July ban in effect for the 4th of July for a large portion of the parade route, basically Mill Street through Glendon Street. So the ban takes effect at 7:30 in the morning and runs until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And there will be no street-side parking along the parade route. That's what's being banned, no street-side parking. So I just want to put this out because it happens every year. We've been doing a 4th of July parade for as long as I've been in the Wolfeboro Police Department, for the last 23 years, and I suspect that we were probably doing one when you were a child here, Mr. Chairman, growing up. Over the years, the parade has grown and grown and grown. We literally bring in thousands and thousands of spectators for this parade. The parade this year, I know, is the largest it has ever been. So just let me explain a couple of things. At 9 o'clock, and there's no change. We've been doing it this way since I've been here for 23 years. Pickering Corner through Forest Road is shut down. And it's shut down to through traffic. You can't get through. And you can't simply get through because they got the road shut down. You can't get through because there's a sea of humanity in that area. People are in the road, the roads are congested. There's literally thousands of people. and then the parade begins. And I will tell you that I lead the parade as the chief of police, and the parade ends at Brewster Academy, and then I report back to the command post at the Wolfeboro Police Department, and I'm usually there for 90 minutes. And by the way, the captain is at the end of the parade, and he hasn't even started yet. That's how long this parade is. So no one is going through town. You're not going to be able to get from Hunter's IGA to Forest Road if you wanted to. You can't. It's just impossible. So folks have to find alternate routes. They have to go and think about if they've got to get to work, or if they got an appointment, or they want to go down and get a pound of sugar. They're going to really have to figure this one out, because you're just not going to get there if you're trying to go through the compact portion of town. And nothing has changed in 23 years. This is Wolfeboro on the 4th of July. There are thousands of people in the road, and the roads get shut down. And there's a parade that's 2.5 miles long. So I don't think I have to paint any more of a picture, but it seems that every year people get put out because they want to go down at 9:15 and get a blueberry muffin at one of the stores, and they're not understanding that this is Wolfeboro on the 4th of July. And I just want to point that out. So that being said, I think that's it.
Okay.
Could I ask a question? One of the things that I am used to, having been involved in this career, is after-action hot washes, discussions. And because of the nature of this year's changes in some of the parking conditions and who will be attending and so forth, I would like to be able to attend your after-action to discuss it, so we could be familiar with the things. And I don't know if you would like to attend also?
Of course, and so real quick, we do, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. We do an after-action review after every major operation. That includes investigations or arrests. There's always an after-action review. He referred to it as a hot wash. That's an old Army term, so I understand that. But after-action review is the technically correct doctrinal term. Yes, absolutely, Commissioner. We're more than happy to invite you to that. And then the other thing I want to say is Commissioner Goodgame had brought up back in, I think it was January or so, maybe it was February, a recommendation about getting some volunteers. And I'm happy to say that we reached out to CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team, and they're going to be assisting us with traffic control this year. So we have 16 of them in total. 10 will be assisting us with the parade functions, and 6 will be assisting us with the 4th of July fireworks traffic control operation, which both operations happen to be very daunting. So I'm really grateful for for CERT stepping in to help fill the void. And Alyssa, I'm really hoping that you can get some great photographs and cover this, because these folks are really well trained. They're all part of the Coalition for Public Health. They're trained under a federal grant. I believe the grant is from FEMA.
FEMA and Homeland Security.
And Homeland Security. These folks come well trained. They are well equipped. They come equipped, and they are a real gem. They're a community resource, and we're going to be using a lot more of them. So I think this is good. I want to get that out. So I'm hoping you get some good photos.
I'd just like to add that in Carroll County, this is the first opportunity where the CERT team has been asked to participate in a major way by a municipality. And we hope that this sets a good precedent.
Yes, I'm hopeful, and we have plans to use them in the future. So I'm really excited about this. A lot of good things happening this year. You know, we've got a great redundant communication capability in the form of that AT&T Colt van. We've got the CERT team members. We've got Brewster Academy doing some things for us to help facilitate the traffic flow. So we've really brought a lot of community resources together to assist us. And of course, we got the traffic ban, which I understand that the business community may be a little upset with, but I think at the end of the day, I think that's a real business opportunity here because we're removing, maybe 100 or so vehicles from the parade route. We're going to make the parade route safer. But the other thing we're doing is you're creating spaces to watch the parade. You remove 100 vehicles along that parade route, you're really talking about being able to bring in 3,000 or 4,000 more folks to spread out. So I think that this is a real opportunity for the business community to latch on to that sea of humanity, which is really when you think about it, at the end of the parade, very captive, right? I mean, there's only so many ways out of Wolfeboro, so we ought to be thinking about everything we can to get them to visit our shops and take advantage of our various venues. And that's just my thoughts on that matter.
I think it was a bold move, present this plan to the Board of Selectmen, to the community. Personally, I think it's long overdue. As you alluded to earlier, I go back in the
Thank you, sir.
parade many years, and for a number of years I drove fire apparatus through that parade route. At no time was it easy.
No, it's not.
The problem stemming from vehicles being parked, and I understand why people would park downtown, but that causes the crowds to move out around the vehicles, further compacting the travel portion. And then that's exacerbated by people throwing candy and kids diving in front of these vehicles. And it became very unsafe. So I'm very thankful to the Board of Selectmen of the community for moving forward with this ban and assisting us with it. Because, as I say, it's long overdue, it's necessary, and from a police standpoint, public safety is the utmost important.
I think
Is of the
also,
utmost
yeah,
importance.
it'll also improve the visibility for the people because there'll be less obstruction to people coming down. So the presenters would have a greater flow and not be left standing out in the street, waiting instead of be able to more quickly approach and be able to conclude and enjoy everything afterwards.
I do want to say, I just want to put out, and Alyssa, I'm hoping you can help me with this, is that, I received word from Miss Kathy Eaton of Molly the Trolley fame that she will be picking up folks from the high school complex who will be wanting to park up there and then ferrying them down, and we're going to facilitate their movement to where she wants to drop off. That's number one.
Nice.
Number two, if there are groups out there, whether it's a veterans group that wants to come down and watch the parade, or some folks that are mobility challenged, all they need to do is contact us at the Wolfeboro Police Department, and we will help facilitate their movement through the compact portion of town. If they need to set something up or get in place, we'll be happy to do that for them. And indeed, I think if there is for example, the retirees there at Sugar Hill, if they want to come down and watch the parade, I think if they get in touch with Miss Eaton, she'll be more than happy to go pick them up and bring them down to the parade, and we can help facilitate that and make that happen. So, Alyssa, I'm hoping you can get some of that information out for us and let them know that, somebody shouldn't be afraid to come down and watch the parade because there's a traffic ban or a parking ban. We can figure that out. We can help them figure out what that plan will be. But I say this, don't call me at 9 o'clock. Because by that point, it's too late. You really got to reach out to me before that, but you can't do it at the 12th hour, right? 8:59, you're giving me a call. That isn't going to work.
Please.
The article will be going in and coming out July 3rd. The paper is coming out a day earlier.
That's great.
So that's when it's coming out, and I believe I did mention
Sounds
you
good.
could help people.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And I think Kathy Eaton's press release was in.
She did indeed, and she sent a copy, and we've got it out on our social media platform. So I saw that, but I just I don't want somebody sitting at home thinking that they can't come to the parade. because there's a parking ban in effect. No, we'll help you figure that out. Yeah, we can do that. So it's really easy. But you got to call us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to clarify, twice I've heard you speak about the compact portion of town, and over the microphone, it kind of sounded like you were saying the combat section of town. I just want to clarify, he was saying
No, compact.
compact and not
Yeah,
combat.
yes, compact portion of town, yes.
I think the word is getting out, because as I get around and I mention it to people, they already know, so.
And our message boards have been deployed. You'll see 2 message boards from Public Works deployed, along with our radar warning trailer deployed with all the correct messaging that's been approved by Town Hall. So we are getting the word out. So even though I think some folks have felt that this was rushed a little, we've received nothing but positive feedback on our Facebook page, people coming up to me and thanking me because it's everything essentially that had come up, that you'll have an unobstructed view of the parade. You'll be able to watch the parade without having to look through the windows of a Chevy Blazer. And I think it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Okay.
It's going to make it safer.
Okay. Under commission items, the first thing I'd like to mention is that our next meeting is going to be the 4th Thursday in July. That'll be July 25th. And also the 4th Thursday in August, which will be August 22nd. Those are our July and August meeting dates, a week later than normal, to accommodate schedule issues.
We'll do it next time.
This time, if you'll indulge me for a moment. At this time, it is my sincere honor to honor a former member of the Police Commission who opted not to run for re-election this past March. A gentleman who is a gentleman in every sense of the word, who has served this town, the community, and the people, his constituents, as he refers to all of them, with honor, distinction, and professionalism. He is sorely missed. We will call on him. He is our Commissioner Emeritus, and he has a great legal mind, so we will be calling on him from time to time for his input, part of our think tank, if you will. But at this time, for 10 years of truly dedicated service to this town and the people of Wolfeboro, we'd like to honor your commitment, sir, Mr. Ronald Goodgame, with a plaque from the Wolfeboro Police Department and the Wolfeboro Police Commission to hang on your wall of fame at home, or if you join us, sir. Would you like to?
So at this time, I just want to say congratulations. Well done. And this is for you, and I'm hoping that you're going to put it in a suitable place that will honor awe, because you certainly earn it. It's very nice, and we're very grateful for everything that you've done for us. As Steve said, I'm going to echo this. You know, you've got a very keen legal mind, and I think there were times that we were, 1, lost without it, and 2, doing mental gymnastics trying to keep up with it. And I'm not just saying that, but I think your thought process is so fast.
Is this all on tape?
It's all on tape. Yeah, yeah, so fast. But we really appreciate everything you did, because truly we solved some major problems throughout the 10 years, and we did it because of you and because of your expert counsel. So, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you for the kind words.
One other thing, Commissioner Emeritus, is we've also retired your badge, and we would also like to present that to you for your dedication and for your service, and we thank you.
I'll take your seats. I'd like to give my acceptance speech.
2 minutes. You're allowed 2 minutes. Ron. 2 minutes, Ron. 2. Timer's on.
I would like to say a couple of words. Donna forgot my acceptance speech. It's home.
Thank you, Donna.
So I'm going to try to ad-lib a little bit about what I feel. Number one, I'm most appreciative of the plaque. The gesture on your part is awesome. I can't tell you how thrilled I am. But I will say that I'm most thrilled that you didn't call me and ask me to chip in. I appreciate that.
We thought about it. But
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did. You're a chiseler. Thank you, though. You know, Chief Chase was mentioned a little while ago, and I was lucky enough to serve on several commissions that experienced the leadership of Chief Stu Chase and currently Chief Dean Rondo. When you've got leadership capability like these men have and had, it makes the job in the commission a lot easier.
absolutely.
Because as I've always seen, the commission are like parents, and the police department are like the children. The parents are supposed to teach the children how to behave, how to be civil, how to be upstanding, how to stay within the law, and be good citizens. And when you've got those kinds of people at the helm in the police department, being a commissioner is a lot easier. So I thank Chase and I thank you, Dean, for having given me that opportunity. And speaking of Chase and Rondo, this plaque, you wanted it to go up on the wall where I could find it and all. It's going to be a great memory because it reminds me of another plaque that I got once when I was a second-year law student. And that plaque was given to me by my classmates, and it was called the Golden Query Award. And it was given to the second-year student who managed to ask the most time-consuming and irrelevant questions.
Boy, did that fit.
And that was me.
And I say that with love.
And I think during the repartee that I used to have with Chase and Rondo, I think you'll understand what I mean. So anyway, thanks again for the memories and the plaque. I'll cherish it. And I still think of you all like family.
Oh, good, because we're
Thanks.
all going to join you down at Katie's tomorrow, and you're picking up the tab.
What'd you say?
We can't
See the table.
Ron, I think I can speak for, even for Commissioner Balboni, who can't be here today, but because we did speak about this. He was very sad to miss this moment, but it's been a great experience and a lot of fun working with you, and we look forward to seeing you as much as we can in the future. So thank you for everything. Okay, Alyssa, any other questions or all set? Any comments or anything?
Attendees?
We all set? Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to enter into non-public session under RSA
So,
91-A.
requested and enter.
Okay, and I will second that motion, and then I will poll the commission. Commissioner O'Brien?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood is a yes. We stand in recess momentarily before entering non-public.